In the heart of ancient Africa, where the sun kisses the earth with a fiery passion, two tribes, the Ka and the Zari, lived under a sky heavy with ancestral grudges. For generations, their spears had tasted each other's blood, and their lands were divided by a river of sorrow. The Ka, fierce warriors of the mountain, and the Zari, cunning hunters of the savannah, saw each other not as kin, but as shadows to be vanquished. Their elders spoke of a time before the hate, a time of unity, but those words were like whispers lost in the wind, forgotten tales from a distant past. The children were raised on stories of betrayal and bloodshed. Their hearts hardened before they could even learn to love. The animosity was a living thing, a venomous serpent coiling around the two communities, choking any chance of peace. Yet, even in the harshest of lands, a single flower can defy the odds and bloom. Adani, a daughter of the Ka, was as beautiful as the dawn, with eyes that held the depth of the night sky. On the other side of the river lived Akin, a son of the Zari, his spirit as untamed as the wild beasts he hunted. They met by chance at the river's edge, a place forbidden to both. It was not a meeting of enemies, but of two souls recognizing each other in a world determined to keep them apart. Secretly, under the watchful gaze of the moon, their love blossomed, a fragile beacon of hope in a sea of despair. They dreamed of a future where the Ka and Zari could live as one, a future their love could perhaps build. But they knew their union was a dangerous secret, a spark that could either ignite a new dawn or set their world ablaze in a final, devastating fire. Central to the legends of both tribes was the Drum of Whispers, a sacred artifact said to be carved from the heartwood of a baobab tree struck by lightning. It wasn't just an instrument, it was a vessel of immense power. The elders claimed it held the spirits of their shared ancestors and could command the very elements. It could summon rain to quench a thirsty land or call forth storms to drown an enemy. But the drum had been silent for centuries, ever since the first blood was spilled between the tribes. It was hidden away in a secret, sacred grove, its magic dormant, waiting for a worthy hand to awaken its voice. The legends warned that only a union of pure hearts from both tribes, a sacrifice of love, could break the curse and make the drum beat again. But they also warned that if awakened by a heart filled with greed or hatred, the drum would unleash a horror unimaginable, a darkness that would consume everything. Desperate to end the endless war and unite their people, Adani and Akin made a pact. They would find the Drum of Whispers and use its power to force peace upon their tribes. Guided by fragmented maps passed down in hushed tones, they embarked on a perilous journey into the treacherous Shadowlands, a territory no one had dared to enter for generations. They faced trials that tested their courage and their love, crossing rivers filled with unseen dangers and navigating jungles that seemed to breathe with a malevolent life of their own. Every step was a risk, every shadow a potential enemy. Their journey was a testament to their conviction, a desperate pilgrimage for peace fueled by a love that defied the hatred of their world. They believed that the drum was their only hope, the key to a future free from bloodshed. After days of relentless searching, they found it. In a sun-dappled clearing, resting on a stone altar, was the Drum of Whispers. It was larger than the tales described, its surface covered in intricate carvings that seemed to shift and writhe in the light. The air around it hummed with a palpable energy, a silent power that made the hair on their arms stand on end. As Akin reached out and laid his hand upon its skin, a low thrum vibrated through the ground. It was a sound that felt ancient, a heartbeat from the beginning of time. Together, with Adani's hand over his, they struck the drum. Not with sticks, but with the palm of their hands, pouring all their hope, their love, and their desire for peace into that single, unified strike. The sound that erupted was not one of peace. It was a piercing, soul-shattering shriek that ripped through the jungle. The sky, once clear, was instantly blotted out by a swarm of black clouds that converged above them. The carvings on the drum began to glow with a sickly, red light, and the ground trembled violently. From the shadows of the forest, twisted, nightmarish figures began to emerge. They were the forgotten spirits, the tormented souls of those who had fallen in the generations of war, their forms mangled by eternal hatred. The lovers had not awakened a force for peace. They had unleashed the collected agony and rage of their ancestors. The drum did not unite spirits. It gave physical form to their pain, creating an army of horrors. Adani and Akin stared in terror as the creatures, their eyes burning with vengeful fire, turned their gaze towards the lands of the Ka and the Zari. The army of the damned swept out of the Shadowlands, an unstoppable tide of spectral rage. They fell upon the villages of the Ka and the Zari with equal, indiscriminate fury. Warriors who had spent their lives fighting each other now found themselves fighting side by side against a common, supernatural foe. But their spears and arrows were useless against these vengeful spirits. The tribes were being annihilated, their homes turned to ash, their people dragged into a spectral abyss. Panic and chaos reigned. The hatred that had defined them for so long was now the very fuel for their destruction. In the face of this apocalyptic horror, the surviving elders of the Ka and Zura finally understood the terrible truth. Their endless war had not just cost them their living, it had damned their dead, turning them into monsters. Seeing the devastation they had caused, Adani and Akin were consumed by guilt and despair. Their quest for peace had brought about the apocalypse. They returned to the grove, the air thick with the stench of despair. They knew what they had to do. The legend spoke of a sacrifice of love. Standing before the still glowing drum, they held each other one last time, their tears mingling. Their love was pure, born in defiance of hate, and now it would be their final offering. With a shared, resolute breath, they picked up a ceremonial dagger lying at the altar. They knew their sacrifice was the only way to silence the drum and appease the spirits. They had to give their lives to end the horror they had started, to pay the ultimate price for a peace they would never see. Their love story would end not in a union, but in a final, tragic act to save what was left of their world. Their sacrifice would become a new legend, a chilling reminder of the true cost of hatred.